Well, hello and welcome to the bathroom of the dollhouse for another reading from The Secret Language of Birthdays by Gary Goldschneider and Joost Elfers for November 3rd, the day of the long breath. And here at the top of the page is a visual representation of the day of the long breath. We have us a trombone. That's right, but it's got itself another little curve in there. I think they said that's like the F device or something. I don't know much about the brass, so I can't really say. But that being said, I don't know if it's an adequate representation of the day of long breath. But hey, you know what? Maybe as we get on with the reading, we'll find some kind of connotation for that. But not altogether all too important. What is important, however, is it's November 3rd. Hence, it's somebody's birthday today, and wishing you a happy birthday. That's right, that's what's important. But if this video finds you late, I don't know, days, weeks, months, as is sometimes the case, because you're probably a busy individual and not a lot of people are searching for their birthday out there on the YouTube there, I just want to say, I hope you had a happy birthday if that's the case. That being said, everybody else is joining us randomly, or more ideally, to celebrate the November 3rd birthday. Well, I just want to say hello, welcome, and I hope you enjoy yourself. Now, before we dive in with the redirect, a little something we like to do around these here parts, that's roll some dice. That's right, this is the DykASSt birthday broadcast, so we need to live up to the namesake by doing as much, but we also do so for a little bit more of an important matter here, and that is for synchronicity's sake. And here we rolled us. Oh my lord, you're not going to believe it. A 3 and a 3 for a 6. Got some doubles going in there. Straight to jail. Hey, it should be easy to remember. November 3rd. Now, what is synchronicity, you're probably wondering? Well, it's just you getting out in the world and letting the universe show you it's with you on your path. And you do that by having a mutually agreed upon set of numbers. That's right. Something to look for while you're out there with the universe. You know, going on a walk, seeing what you see, letting the numbers guide you. Now, you don't have to go with the numbers I rolled you. The intention's there. But, you know, regardless of whether you go with the numbers I rolled you, it's probably a good idea to take some dice. So you can ascribe directional values to number sets and figure out time limits by which to go in those directions. That being said, once you reach the end of that time limit there, in whatever direction you were going, you take some pause. You take a moment to compose yourself. And you get eagle-eyed and you look for your signs. That's right. But hey, sometimes, as often is the case, you may not see any numbers. That being said, just look for something anomalous, something that stands out, strikes you as odd, or that the universe is just calling out to you to follow that particular element. Or maybe stay put just a little bit longer. Who's to say? A lot of this is instinct. So, hey, who's to say? Maybe the number 6 bus rolls up on you there. Hey, you know what? You might not ride the bus all that often, but hey, it's a sign. Get on the bus, see where it takes you. Maybe you just so happen to have perfect change in your pocket when you otherwise don't typically carry change. Hey, synchronicity. See, taste, touch, and feel the magic. You get out there and you look for this kind of thing, a lot of times you're going to see it. A lot of times we're not even looking for things because we're just letting things go past us. But now that you're open, now that you're focused, and you're just asking for the signs, you might start noticing things a little more often. And hey, maybe when that time limit elapses for being on the bus and you get off on the next stop, well, maybe you find yourself in front of a building with a 33 in the address. And what is it? Hey, maybe it's a music shop and they got trombones and spades, if you like. The day could take on a theme for that matter. You never know. So just stay eagle-eyed, take note of what you see, and let the universe be with you on your path. See, taste, touch, and feel the magic. I think you get the point. Any event, let's get on with the birthday read, shall we? Your month is November, your day the 3rd, your sign is 10 to 12 degrees Scorpio of the Scorpio II period specifically, the first day of it, and your quality and element is fixed water. What does that mean? Well, that's a whole different video altogether, so I won't bore you with that. So let's dive in with the birthday read. November 3rd, the day of the long breath. Those born on November 3 are fighters with the stamina and endurance to hang in there, no matter what. They are highly competitive, if not contesting others when striving for their own private achievements and goals. And the idea of bettering their position or standing occurs naturally to them. Under pressure, they are usually cool, although they often reserve an explosive power, which others can palpably see. A certain deadly calm descends on them in trying situations that does not bode well for their opponents. In executing attacks on them in trying situations, that does not bode well for their opponents. I already read that. In executing attacks against foes, rather, both men and women born on this day can be quite merciless. That's right. Read the right sentence, buddy. November 3 people know how to wait. That's right. And they do not like rushing anything they do, and generally believe that time is on their side. They may give others the impression that they are procrastinating, but remain focused on the precise moment to act. And therefore, November 3 people rarely risk defeat due to impulsive or premature maneuvers. Their tactics can still take their opponents by surprise, all right, but probably because of meticulous calculation rather than impulse or intuition. And those born on this day do not like to lose. Their mania to win out in life can cost them dearly when they are faced with bad fortune. As a matter of fact, a run of bad luck emotionally or financially can wipe out their moral reserves, leading to depressive and, in extreme cases, suicidal feelings. Thus, November 3 people are not only winners, but also sufferers. And they can really get down into their suffering, clam up, and let others know about it with one hollow-eyed look. On the other hand, when they are in a good mood, usually because things are going well for them, it says in parentheticals, they can be extremely entertaining. On such highs, they can even go off in a manic direction. November 3 people's powers of concentration are usually excellent, as are their mental and physical development, but their expression of their feelings is often blocked. They may send up a wall against any probing of their inner thoughts and emotions, resisting most personal examination. Yet they can be quite sympathetic and empathetic toward others, readily understanding their own problems. Very deep people, those born on this day, are nevertheless unlikely to fathom their own profundity. And not only do November 3 people make bad enemies because of their physical presence and intelligent battle tactics, but also because of their satirical and sarcastic bent. They are quite capable of tearing an opponent to pieces verbally, and November 3 people must learn to temper their aggressive side and to express their emotions in more harmonious and flowing manners. Fighting their own intolerance as well as learning to be more forgiving, accepting, and open are crucial to their personal and spiritual development. All right, hey, quite the dynamic day, I must say. So let's dive in with some notes. What did I have to say? Provide a little bit of commentary, if you like, on what we just read. Maybe make some connotations, right? Got to figure out where that trombone falls in. All right. No guarantee on that, though. All right, hey, November 3rd, day of the long breath. Fighters with stamina and endurance to hang in no matter what. That's right. Apparently. All right. The reading also claims you're highly competitive and cool under pressure, usually, but with a palpable explosive energy that others pick up on. I think they use the word palpable there. And if that wasn't enough, you're also dead calm in the heat of a fiery moment and unrelenting in your attack against opponents or aggressors. Pretty strong claims, I would say. And not saying it isn't true or even possible. The reading just comes out guns blazing with this breakdown from the get. To which, if the claims are true, is quite the apt means of conveying the facts in that regard. At the very least, that said, the reading also claims you're patient in waiting for the right moment to act, and giving off an air of procrastination long before giving into impulse. All right, there you go. So, hey, maybe the synchronicity thing would be a little bit difficult for you. Who's to say? You might just be so dead set on being calculating and having things planned out. This kind of thing might take you by surprise. So, hey, expand your horizons. I say go for it. So tactics certainly sounds right to that extent. What else we got here? Quite the deadly combination, I would argue, being someone who's strong and aggressive and employs tactics. Also patient, right? I do, however, like this word mania that they used to describe your desire to win, all right? But I appreciate even more that it's employed rather, as a means to discuss the pitfalls that you could experience with this personality type. As I typically only associate what's been described as a recipe for success, right? So you're not only winners, however, but sufferers, it says. And it's very interesting that they examine that. And perhaps that's a key facet to your abilities. Having suffered, the kind of experience that comes with that, helps you pull yourself up by your bootstraps. And I don't know, I think that's a key facet to a lot of people's success. Obviously, life is going to happen no matter how strong, resilient, or level-headed you might be, right? But I'm glad they examine this and how many people only see you for your strength. And how many other people only see you for your strength, never considering the struggle that you may be going through. And that it might even lend even more credence to your strength there. I know I didn't necessarily think that that would be the case as we got on with the first 3/4 of the reading or whatever. Let's see here. I suppose the blockage with expression of feelings might have been a common consideration, but the reading claims you're also deep, empathetic, sympathetic, sarcastic, and satirical, but also unlikely to fathom your own profundity, your own intellectuality, right? So you cut quite the striking figure indeed. Strong, intelligent, patient, yeah, aggressive and ruthless, it said, and it might give one pause in that regard, but it tells me that you stand for something, and more importantly, you're going to fight for it, all right? So that's quite interesting for me. I thought it was a pretty good birthday breakdown. In any event, that's been the breakdown there, so let's move on to your numbers and your planets. All right, those born on the 3rd of the month are ruled by the number 3 and the planet Jupiter. And those ruled by number 3 try to rise to the highest positions in their sphere. And November 3 people are no exception. The coupling of Jupiterian energy with that of Pluto and Mars, which are Scorpio's ruler and co-ruler respectively, can signal that the aggressively enthusiastic energies of November 3 people have a propensity to spin out of control or perhaps be driven down inside, with disastrous consequences. And those ruled by the number 3 love their independence and are therefore happiest when working for themselves or in a position with a high degree of autonomy. All right, they really personalize this one for you here. I do say a lot of times they don't go to that big of an extent to personalize it. Sometimes they don't even personalize it except to change the date. But they did that here for you. And I'd say a little bit of that owes to the Scorpio dynamic because of the Pluto and Mars rulership. It's a very isolated instance because Pluto doesn't pop up every day like some of these other planets do. So they really kind of drill down and change things up for you here. When other times it could be just a copy-paste job, if you like. So let's see what I had to say about your numbers and planets. The number 3 in the expansive planet Jupiter. They didn't write that in here, but they do on other occasions here. For that large gravitation, the largest gravitational pull in the system, kind of energy, right? Let's see here. Like other Jupiter folks, you aim to rise to the top, but you have a co-rulership coupling with Pluto and Mars. Which again aids on your side for very stark additional facets that only a few other days are arguably endowed with. But you arguably have to fight these energies also, all right, which can be dark and aggressive. I don't remember if they said that, as they didn't say as much in there, but with the other days ruled by Pluto, they do mention it a lot. They also say it gives you a perspective into the darker side of humanity. So you know what? You can use that as a tool also. What else here? So fight those energies also, which can be dark and aggressive, but also, if you use them the right way, it can be kind of insight to the dark sides of human nature, like I said. Others aren't naturally inclined to realize those, so that's another tool in your bag. So if it's up to you to utilize or ultimately fall victim to as much, tread carefully. All right, just keep it in mind. Maybe those kinds of forces are fighting against you. I don't know how much credence to lend to astrology myself, but who's to say? The magnets do work on things. That's right. So maybe those poles are fighting you sometimes. In any event, that's been your numbers and your planets. So let's move on to your tarot. That's right, one of the more eclectic of the New Age metaphysical ideologies, if you like, even when we're talking about astrology. But you know what? We don't have to take it home with us and start dealing out the cards to influence our every flight of fancy and every whim. So let's just see what it has to say. It's your birthday. Let's expand our horizons. The third card of the major arcana is the Empress, who symbolizes creative intelligence, and she is the perfect woman, the ultra-feminine Mother Earth nurturer, who embodies our dreams, hopes, and aspirations. And this card represents positive traits of charm, grace, and unconditional love, but also negative traits of vanity and affectation, as well as intolerance for imperfection. I dare say that latter one maybe kind of sounds a little bit like the breakdown said. Anyway, hey, let's dive into the tarot, see what I had to say here. The Empress for creative intelligence, charm, dreams, hopes, aspirations, and unconditional love. Let's see, which in my mind speaks to your dedication to your goals, regardless the challenges. All right, you're up for a fight in both mental and physical terms, but can approach it in an unassuming way and also let things get out of control if you lean too hard into believing in your own legends. Right, so a little bit has its own charm, you know, ego. That said, but. Make sure it's measured. That's right. Too much ego is a bad look. It's not only a bad look, I'd argue it runs counter to your main effort. Also one of the main facets of your abilities. So stay out of your own way in that regard. All right? You don't want to mess up that charm, okay? That's what I would say anyhow. I don't really have any charm, so I can't really argue to it too much. I have to assume. In any event, that's been your tarot, so let's move on to your health. All right, your health. November 3 people must beware of their tendency to suffer and to control their emotions at all cost. This behavior can lead to all sorts of psychological and physical problems. Psychologically, depression and self-destructive impulses are a threat. And on the physical side, internal, abdominal, particularly excretory, it says in parentheticals, organs may be adversely affected, which in extreme cases can mean malignancies, kidney stones, or ulcerative conditions. And most November 3 people love to eat and may not be sufficiently concerned about their high-fat, alcohol, or protein intake until they suffer physical symptoms. And therefore, either their eating habits will have to be regulated in some manner, or they must balance their indulgences with a healthy dose of exercise. All right, hey, there's your health. Let's see what I had to say here. Beware the tendency to suffer. All right, the reading claims as much. A few different times there. Perhaps another means of getting in your own way sometimes. So lean into to fighting your impulses, which sounds like can lead to it's a self-destruction there. Oh, the cuckoo went off there. Let's see here. Further warnings of such things being manifested are warned against, and the likes of ulcers and kidney stones as well. A seeming through line with Scorpios, I would argue. And a healthy, measured approach to both diet and exercise are mentioned, but not harped down upon too much, which lends further concern and importance to the psychological, I would argue. At least that's in my mind here. Also, take heed of this psychological examination isn't all too focused upon all that often in the health breakdowns. A little bit here and there, but if they're mentioning it and they're kind of not really talking about exercise or, I mean, they mentioned diet a little bit, but they really didn't say much about exercise outside of a healthy dose, and that's pretty general for everybody. So I think what I'm trying to say here is they mentioned psychological factors, so maybe take note of as much. Don't get too depressed, all right? That's right. The depression can take it out of all of us. That's right. So that's been your health. Let's move on to some advice. Your advice: learn how to let go. Suffering and resentment can drop away if you let them. And be more realistic about your enthusiasm. Beware of indolence. Let's see here. Your enjoyment of pleasures may have to be tempered. All right, real quick with the advice there. Let's see what I'd say. I'll try to pick it up here for you. I wrote it in the book because I ran out of space on the page. Let's get this aligned here for you. All right, learn how to let go. All right, I'd argue it serves your intrinsic strength and your approach to success. All right, less baggage on your mind opens up bandwidth. Okay, and for more immediate concerns also. Be realistic in your enthusiasm. Okay, you might have the energy dashed when you find you're the only one who's excited. Okay, but hey, don't let that be the case. Nobody else seems to care about certain things that you care about. You know what? Just keep leaning into them. If it's healthy for you, it's healthy for you, I would say. Stay excited, but unassuming. At least that's my modus operandi. Don't expect results and you'll be surprised if you get them, versus expecting results and being absolutely gutted when you don't. All right, so yeah, that's be realistic about your enthusiasm. Beware indolence or laziness, another word for that. Take breaks, but continue being the quiet catalyst. That's what I had to write here. Temper indulgence, good practice in general, I would say, but there's a risk of it getting out of control if you do too much indulgence there. Remember, you're ruled by dark influences and impulse, all right? So fight those as much as you can. You might find that they get out of control real quick. And you know what? Maybe you never really took note of as much before, but now that you've heard it, maybe you can put something into practice. Like, oh, I know my impulses in those regards, so I need to fight this particular thing or that particular thing, or else I'll just get out of control with it. I don't know who's to say. That's just where my mind goes with it. In the event, that's been your advice. So let's take the energy down just a hair. Move on to your meditation. That's right, your meditation. Let's get the book in line here. Your meditation. Losing with grace can be an important win. Ooh. All right. Hey, I don't want to throw a spin on it here. Let's do it again here. Losing with grace can be an important win. I think I said something about that in the advice there, so I got a little excited. Forgot about it. All right, so once again, that's been your meditation. I don't want to throw any kind of influence or spin on it for you. It's your birthday. Your meditation is just for you. So, all right, with your meditation in the can, as it were, let's move on to your strengths and weaknesses. That's right. Let's do the work. I know we went over a lot of that stuff already, but hey, let's summate it. Let's see if we can cotton to what was said and then summate it for ourselves. See what we think they might be. All right, you ready for your strengths? Your strengths. You're persistent. You're concentrated. And here's one I wouldn't have thought of. You're triumphant. Oh, that's a good one. That might be the first time it's been in the book. Triumphant. But your weaknesses, oh, here we go. We got to do the real work now. Can you guess? Suffering, procrastinating, and depressive. All right, you know what? We already went into this knowing those, all right? So you know what? We know how to build up to come back from those. That's right. We know how to do the work. Once again, weaknesses, suffering, procrastinating, and depressive. So watch out, all right? Be triumphant. That's right. That's huge. I think that's a Bill and Ted thing. All right. So there's been your strengths and weaknesses. So let's dive in with those born on this day. And when we get into those born on this day, something I like to segue into and examine and just lead into reading off who shares your company so that we can be mindful of as much is examining and trying to figure out our passions. I get out in the world and I meet folks, ask them what they do, and more importantly, if they like it. A lot of times they don't. And you know what? Who can blame them? They just don't have the time to put in the work to figure those things out because it's hard sometimes. And a lot of times we get out in the world right out of school. We got to get that first job we can get into, and it might have zero to do with anything we're interested in. We just got to get money so we can keep the roof over our heads and food on the table. And you know, when the weekend rolls around, you got bed sheets to change and food to cook and a little bit of time to decompress. There's no time to figure out what you want to do with your life, or if you do know, how to make it financially viable. So I think this is the perfect opportunity to not only see what lottery we drew, to see who shares your company, but to see what they did to not only get in the book, but maybe put their stamp on the cultural zeitgeist, if you like. And maybe we can draw some inspiration. And even if we can't, even if these weren't their passions, at least we're thinking that way. And so maybe it'll stir up some of those fires, that expansive planet Jupiter energy, if you like. So let's get into it. All right, those born on this day. And we start off with a name I'm going to butcher. Here we go. Mutshu Ito Mahina Tenno, a Japanese emperor, and he brought country to world power and ruled from the age of 15 during the Mahina era, from 1867 on into 1912. And then we have Leopold II, the Belgian 19th century, 19th, 20th century king, and he ruled for 44 years. We also have Yitzhak Shamir, an Israeli prime minister, André Malraux, a French novelist of man's fate, and fought in the Chinese Revolution, it says, Spanish Civil War, and the French underground during World War II. How about that? We also have that. How about that for a warrior? All right, we've got Charles Bronson, the film actor and former coal miner, it says. There's someone who had to put their back into the work, right? William Cullen Bryant, 19th century poet, editor, and biographer, publisher, naturalist, and is responsible for Thanatopsis, book, film, not quite sure. We have Roseanne Barr, the film, TV actress, famous for Roseanne in a nightclub comedian. We also have Larry Holmes, a world heavyweight boxing champion, and successfully defended the title 20 times. All right, another fighter. Bob Feller, baseball pitcher, and led the AL in strikeouts 7-time wins, in strikeouts 7 times and wins 6 times, and 3 no-hitters, and 266 wins. Michael Dukakis, the Democratic presidential nominee and Massachusetts governor. We also have Russell Long, a U.S. Senator of Louisiana, Huey Long's son. We have James Reston, a New York Times columnist, writer of The Artillery of the Press, a book perhaps. Martin Cruz Smith, the writer of Gorky Park. We also have Pandit Pran Nath, an Indian master singer. Arnold H. Fisher, bridge expert and writer of Building Bridge. All right, very apt. Dong Xing, a Chinese research professor and a physician. Anna Wintour, Vogue chief editor. We also have Louis W. Sullivan, U.S. Health and Human Services Secretary. Dennis Miller, the comedian, Saturday Night Live fame. Also a TV talk show host. Roy Emerson, the Australian tennis champion, 6-time Australian, 2-time French, and U.S. Open Wimbledon winner. And that finishes out those born on this day. We had some leaders, we had some fighters, that's right. You know what? Some sufferers too, but they rose up to become successful. Successful enough to get put in the book. That's right. So hopefully you drew some inspiration. I know it's a big ask, hard sell, but you know what? Like I said, maybe just hearing it, it's going to help you stir up the fires. But that being said, that about rounds out your birthday read, except to say your season is fall, your sign once again is Scorpio, of the Scorpio II period specifically, and your quality and elements is fixed water. And this has been November 3rd, the day of the long breath, from The Secret Language of Birthdays by Gary Goldschneider and you Stelfers. I have an affiliate link for this book down in the description if you're interested in picking up a copy and diving in further, finding out more about not only other folks' birthday, but the zodiac signs and your quality and elements and all that. I've done some videos for all that other stuff too if you want to sit through that. He says you got the patience, so maybe so. But you know what? I saved you the hassle of having to type this in the browser if you are interested in picking up a copy. But you know what? That's not important. What's important is it was someone's birthday today. And so wishing you a happy birthday once again. I know we didn't figure out what the trombone might have meant. Maybe it just was a helpful reminder with the title there. Go with the title if you like. That being said, again, that's not too important either. Once again, if this finds you late, hope you had a happy birthday. But for everybody else who joined us randomly, well, I hope you enjoyed yourself and you join us for your birthday read. So once again, before we forget, your daily numbers. That's right. Have the patience. So expand your horizons and get out there and let the universe show you it's with you on your side. You got to do something fun on your birthday. So I argue this might just be the thing. if it does anything less, I mean, you're going to be getting your steps in. That's right. Or how else do you say it? At the very least, that's a better way of putting it. You're getting in that little bit of exercise you might need to work off them foods you like to indulge in. That's right. That's right. All right, folks. Be strong. If you're depressed, hey, you know what? Just get after it. You know, just roll out of bed, get in a shower, do something before you roll back into bed. All right. At least you're a success in that regard. And then, you know what? That energy's going to come. Just be positive. You're going to get it. I'm a prime example of as much. All right. So once again, happy birthday and take care of yourselves.